Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys the top 7 must-have characters in Anime Dimensions. The list will not be in order, just because, but yeah, let's go into it. So first off, I got Dio, because he is free to play, and he got buffed. They never said anything about him getting buffed, but he did. He didn't really need a buff, but he got one, so, and it was like a pretty decently big buff too. He went from doing about 7.8 billion damage in a raid to about 8.5 billion, so he's also really good in dimensions and really good in time challenge, especially for starters. He's also really good in boss rush and extremely good in infinite mode. So he's probably the best character to get for a starter trying to get their first raid character, but he's not the best free to play character. But this next character is the best free to play character. So next up we got Madoka. So Madoka is a really hard character to get, but it definitely pays off when you get her. She is one of the highest damage dealing characters in the game, one of the fastest characters in dimensions, and the best assist in the game right now. She gives you 25% boss damage, and I think maybe has the highest DPS in the game. She is also one of the best time challenge characters and the best time challenge assist. She costs 3.6k soul gems to buy, which you get by completing keys, which are bought with raid tokens. You can only buy 2 of them a day, but you can drop them from raid. But her awakening will cost you another 2,000 soul gems. So overall, she costs 5.6 thousand soul gems, but you also have the possibility of dropping her. I don't know if I mentioned this, but she is like top 3 or top 4 damage in raid and top 4 times in dimensions, so I definitely recommend getting her. So next up I got Odin. So Odin does cost 2.5 thousand Robux, but he is definitely worth the Robux. Odin is currently the strongest character in raids unless you have Divine Pet. I'll touch on that later. And he is the 3rd fastest character in dimensions. He's also the best character in speed raid by far. You can easily get 1 second with him every time if you're strong enough. He's also one of the best boss rush characters. I actually ended up getting 13 seconds with him, which is crazy. The only bad part about him is he's actually pretty hard to use, but for the sake of this video, I'll go ahead and teach you guys his combo. So if you're in rage, you're going to want to do 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, and that's his combo for raid. His 2 is as strong as any other character's 4, which is crazy, and that's the main reason why he's good. And you can use it so many times because of his 3. His 3 instantly resets his 2. So yeah, I definitely recommend buying him if you have the Robux. Next up, I got Shadow Monarch. So Shadow Monarch is half free to play and half pay to win, because you can get him for free to play, but it does take months, so most people just end up buying him with Robux. But his awakened version, Shadow Monarch is the fastest character in Dimensions, has insane damage in raid, not really the greatest, even though he has his awakening version, he's still only about as strong as Jotaro. He is the 3rd fastest character in boss rush, the best character for infinite mode, but he's terrible for time challenge. I would only recommend getting him if you're going to try and speedrun any dimension, but there's another character on this list that could kind of substitute for him. But if you're going to get Shadow Monarch free to play, I would say go ahead and get him, because there's nothing else to spend your shadow tokens on. But I would definitely not recommend spending money on him unless you literally just want to speedrun. But even then, it's still not worth like $65 or however much he is. On to the next character. Alright, so next up I got Christmas Saber. So Christmas Saber, a lot of people know why she's good because of how many times I've explained it, but for those of you who don't, I'll go ahead and explain why she's good and how good she is. So first off, let's go ahead and explain how good she is. So she can do about almost 90 billion damage in raid if the right person is using her, like Cross or Octa, or at least close to 90 billion. And she's the second best character in Dimensions, just a few seconds off of Shadow Monarch. She is the best character for boss rush. You can get 11 seconds with her. She's pretty good for speed raid and one of the best characters for infinite mode, but she's not really that good for time challenge, but no one really cares. But after hearing all that, some people might have her and say, hey, that's not true. So let me tell you why she's good. So she's really good because you can fill up your pet in 1 or 2 moves, which might not sound insane, but that means the better the pet you have, the better Christmas Saber gets. So I'm going to compare her to Dio, just so you can get a hold and a grasp of how strong she is, since a lot of people at least know how strong Dio is or have him. So Dio will do about 8.5 billion damage with old cards in a monkey raid. So if you have Kurumi Pet, she'll be slightly weaker than, actually a pretty decent amount weaker than Dio. But if you have Tanjiro Pet, which is currently the best mythic pet, so the 2nd best pet in the game, She will be maybe slightly weaker or on par with Dio, since Dio got a buff. But if you have Divine Pet, she's about 50% stronger than Dio. Since Divine Pet is multiple times better than any other pet right now, that makes her multiple times better than she was before. So if you don't have Divine Pet and you have Christmas Saber, I would still recommend using Odin or maybe Dio. Actually, I'd still recommend using Christmas Saber for Dimensions, even if you don't have a good pet. But use Dio, Boros, or anyone like that if you don't have Divine Pet. So next up, I got Garo. So a lot of you might be wondering why he's here, since he's not really that good of a main. Which is kind of true and kind of not true. He's kind of mid as a main character. He's one of the fastest characters in Dimensions, but in Raid he's not very strong. But the main thing about him is his assist and how good he is in Time Challenge. So Time Challenge might not matter to you, but he is literally built for Time Challenge. All of his moves cover the entire map pretty much, so you're pretty much just always getting kills in Time Challenge, and the max score you can get with him is probably about 1,450, which is hundreds better, well not hundreds, but about 75 to 100 better than any other character. But the main thing about him that is useful to most players, since most people don't even try and dominate time challenge leaderboards, is his assist. So he has one of the highest DPS assists in the game, and he gives you 18% boss damage, which makes him like, I don't know, super duper. So he has double Kirito's DPS to put it in perspective, and gives 18% boss damage, which is better than 15%, but his cooldown is 75, so it would make him slightly worse than Kirito, but since he has doubled the DPS, I would still say Garo is better. So Garo right now is the second best assist overall in the game. Only when he's awakened, by the way, because I know a lot of people will use him unawakened and be like, huh, he's not moving and improving my damage that much. Only his awakened version gives him the 18% boss damage. So I don't have any footage for this character, but the next character is Boros. So Boros is basically just the same thing as Odin, but easier to use. They have the same damage in Raid, the same times and dimensions. One thing I do want to point out is you can spam Boros like how you spam Jotaro or Dio. A lot of people don't know that, so the only difference between the two is Boros is the second or third best character for Time Challenge, and Odin is a lot better than him in Boss Rush by about, I don't know, 5 seconds. I would get 13 with Odin and about 18 with Boros, or 17. So that's the only difference between the two. Boros is also has pretty good XP gain. His 3 and 4 fill up a lot of the XP bar on your pet. So the better the pet you have, the better Boros will get. Not as much as Christmas Saber, but you know, still works pretty similar. But yeah, would I recommend getting him? Kinda. I'd still recommend getting Odin, but Boros is basically the same thing, just easier to use. And he looks pretty cool, so yeah. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know. And if you didn't like it, don't let me know. Also, don't dislike the video, because for some reason there's like 3 people each video that dislike the video. Who's doing that? Who is doing that? Like my last video, it got 144 likes and 2 dislikes. Who was disliking? So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video where I start a family vlog channel. Goodbye.